Hello and welcome. Today we're exploring the world of Aaron Douglas, a visionary artist whose work became the visual heartbeat of the Harlem Renaissance. Through his murals, illustrations, and collaborations, Douglas reshaped how African Americans saw themselves and how the world saw them. But how did he achieve this? Let's break it down by looking at his biography, influences, artistic style, and lasting impact. Douglas was born in Topeka, Kansas in 1899, in a politically active African American community. His early exposure to art came from his mother, Elizabeth, who encouraged his creativity. Despite facing racism and artistic isolation in places like Detroit, Douglas preserved and earned his degree in fine arts at the University of Nebraska. In 1925, Douglas made a life-changing decision and moved to Harlem. According to Stephanie Fox Knapp, whose research accompanies the Aaron Douglas African American Modernist exhibition, Douglas was inspired by publications such as Survey Graphic and letters from acquaintances urging him to join Harlem's thriving cultural scene. Once there, he quickly immersed himself in his artistic ferment, studying under German artist Winold Reyes and collaborating with intellectuals like Alan Locke and Langston Hutz. Douglas's art is instantly recognizable for its silhouetted figures, geometric shapes, and symbolic use of light and shadow. One of his masterpieces, Into Bondage, from 1936, captures enslaved Africans gazing towards the horizon with chains around their wrists. The composition emphasizes despair, but also points towards the possibility of escape and hope, a recurring theme in Douglas's works. Overall, Douglas's influences were as layered as his art. As Churl R. Regar notes in The Douglas Legacy, Douglas synthesized of African artistic traditions, Cubism, and Art Deco to create a new, modernist aesthetic grounded in Black identity. He didn't simply transplant African motifs into his work. Instead, he reinterpreted them to tell the story of African Americans' journey through slavery, struggles, and triumph. One of Douglas's most celebrated pieces of work was Aspects of Negro Life, a mural series from 1934, commissioned under the Public Works of Art Project. These 4 panels depicted African American history, from life in Africa to emancipation and migration to the North. Douglas's work in arts was in fact deeply rooted in social change. Aspects of Negro Life, for example, did not just document history, it criticized systematic oppression faced by African Americans. These murals incorporated ghostly figures of KKK members and lynching scenes from slavery, ultimately celebrating the resilience of the African American community. As Audrey Thompson argues in his article Great Plains Pragmatist, Douglas embodied a form of African American pragmatism, using art to reshape perceptions and expand cultural possibilities for Black Americans. His collaborations with writers like James Weldon Johnson, especially on Goth's Trombones from 1927, demonstrate this. In these illustrations, Douglas abstracted themes from the Bible to reflect African American spirituality. Overall, through his art, Douglas sought to provide what Alan Locke called a usable past, offering a vision of history that empowered his Black audiences to see themselves as active agents of progress. Oh, and did you know that Douglas wasn't working alone? He collaborated with Langston Hutz in several projects, combining poetry and visual arts to showcase themes of racial pride and hope. Hutz even singled out Douglas as one of the defining artists of the Harlem Renaissance, praising his ability to capture the complexities of the Black American experience. Douglas also worked closely with W.E.B. Du Bois, creating illustrations for The Crisis magazine. These partnerships really showcase the interdisciplinary nature of the Renaissance, which was a movement that integrated visual, literary, and musical arts to challenge racial stereotypes. Douglas's impact didn't end with his murals. In 1939, he accepted a teaching position at Fisk University, where he would spend the next 3 decades mentoring young Black artists. His role as an educator solidified his influence, shaping the next generation of culturally conscious creators. Overall, Douglas redefined what it meant to be a Black artist in America. His works aren't just art, they're cultural landmarks that have continued to inspire discussions about identity, history, and justice. As the Aaron Douglas African American Modernist exhibition has showcased, his legacy is one of beauty and meaning, always inspired by the fight for racial equality.